everyone, I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Week in Anderson. And joining me, as always, is my co-host, Steve Ellis. And Steve, I tell you what, I'm really excited to have our next guest. I've known him, coached him in football, which was pretty awesome to coach. But
we'll ask him that first.
We'll see how that's all about. But man, he was one hell of a tailback at Anderson, and we'll talk about all that stuff. But also just one hell of a guy. So it's gonna be awesome to sit here and talk to Bob Deck and reminisce about some of these stories.
Well, a great athlete, and we're going to go through that. But can we say it's safe to say one of the founding fathers of the return of Anderson football?
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to get into that here in a little bit later. But it's incredible to get into these stories. And as we said, joining us is Bob Deck. And Bob, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's been too long. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time, and I kept saying it. And I just thought, you know what? When the golf outing came up, I thought, man, here's a perfect opportunity to get. That's the other thing too that he's done for us is every year he's sponsored us in our alumni golf outing, and we appreciate all that. But Bob, man, let's just kind of go back and talk a little bit about where you grew up in Anderson and some of the guys that you grew up with, or some of the people you grew up that went to Anderson.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up on a little street called Stormy Way, which was you went up Bernie, made a right on Windy Hill, left on Stormy Way, right in the cul-de-sac. It was in the Maddox School District area, and a couple neighbors I had that are probably familiar is if you cut through the woods over to Lynette, you'd hit the O'Toole's house.
Oh yeah. Everybody knew that.
So the whole O'Toole family, and then if you kept going up Hitching Post, then obviously you'd bump right into the Andrietas house up there on the left.
Andrietas,
All right.
So
were the Ebners right around there, corner there?
They were, but I didn't know them as well.
Okay.
But right on my street was the when I was little was the Von Hollies. I don't know if you remember John Von Holly. He was he was a McNick guy.
Yes.
Good athlete. Turned out to be like 6'4", but he was a childhood friend when I was on that street. It was pretty cool.
That's great. Well, we graduated with your sister.
Yeah.
Holly.
So.
Yep. And that whole gang. She was a real good,
great athlete too.
She pioneered the Deck household. Yeah, she's my older sister.
Yeah. She was a great. I remember softball. Remember her in softball.
Yep.
So she was another one of the. Obviously, it's the families there are good athletes. So, and I'll tell you what, we'll get into it a little bit later. But your mom was the absolute best for me because that was the big football moms back in the day. And Rosie, right? It was Rosie.
Rosie yes.
Deck. Yeah, she was one of my football moms that we dealt with everything. So we'll get into that a little bit later too. So
all right. So growing up over there in Maddox, you're a Maddox Mustang, right?
Yes.
So, what sports did you start playing when you were growing up?
So I started with soccer back then, and that was really what I played. And then that was up until I started that at 6.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And then I don't know what, I was trying to think of that on the way over here. I think just one day, I think I might have went to my parents and said, I want to play football.
Really?
Our soccer team, I guess, was okay.
Yeah.
Nothing great, nothing terrible. And then I ended up playing Mount Washington Pee Wee at the time. And started that when I was 10. So that was really the main sport that I played outside of T-ball. On a bunch of teams that were, playing in the area. And so it was football and baseball was how I kind of got.
Do you remember who your Pee Wee football coaches were?
It was Norm Noose. So back when we were playing, Chris Noose played at Turpin.
Okay.
Really?
And he was, I think, a linebacker. And then he ultimately went to Miami, where I went to school, and we were like rerunning into each other. But Norm Noose was my football coach back then. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So as you were getting older, and I ask this question all the time because we're fairly close in age, not too far. Even though he coached you, we'll talk about that. We were the last class of Anderson Middle School. Mm-hmm. Where did that put you? Were you at Forest Hills Junior High, or were you at the high school?
I was the first class to go to Forest Hills Junior High.
You were?
So I was in 7th and 8th grade there.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Which was pretty cool because then when we broke off, we knew everybody because half of us had all played together that went to Turpin and the other half went to Anderson.
Okay.
So then when we met back on the field, we knew the guys because we had actually played with them.
All right, so Danny, I have no idea about that. So, I mean, was that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it was both good and bad because we knew some of the guys in their talent level, and you knew who they were. So I think that helped. At the same time, I mean, you were playing guys you knew, and then some guys went to St. X, and you knew them. They
moved on, right?
The privileged kids.
Yeah, that's right. No, we get that. I understand that. No,
I'm totally kidding.
No, because Danny and I, we didn't know any of the Turpin. Or the McNick, so obviously there's an instant.
So bottom line is that Bob is we didn't like Turpin, and it's a good thing because that rivalry. I don't know if it was any different with you. You still wanted to be Turpin and all that, but when we played, man, it was cut. I mean, it was McNick Turpin we didn't like.
And I think that McNick was a total. So that was where we didn't know anybody, right? Except for Pee Wee, because playing Mount Washington Pee Wee, I knew a few of the guys, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So
still don't like him.
No, I didn't like him at all. I mean, I didn't like. Yeah, trust me, I didn't like him at all.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's do the transition into high school. And I totally forgot about this. Got a hold of our good friend here, Rob Thuman, and I couldn't remember some of the other sports and he said, well, Bob was a big. I totally forgot about you being a wrestler.
Yeah.
So let's talk about getting into the sports, and then talk about let's first start off with wrestling. Mm-hmm. Talk about that, how you got into the wrestling. And then kind of I don't know all that stuff about the weights and the all that. So just kind of get in and who your coach was too at Anderson.
I've also when I got to Anderson, football was my passion, right? But then I was looking at other sports, and I just met some guys that were wrestling. So my freshman year was the first year I ever wrestled.
Really?
Which a lot of guys had started that way earlier, even in 7th and 8th grade at the junior high. But I just didn't do it. So freshman year, I joined the wrestling team. When I was there, Jeff Krause was the coach.
Jeff Krause,
and had a bunch of good, older guys that kind of took me under their wing. Pat Denicola, Jason Staggerwald.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of a few others, but. So then I started wrestling. I was 112 pounds.
Wow! Imagine that.
Yeah, and then went, and that was the struggle between football and wrestling every year after, because for 9 months out of the year, I wanted to weigh as much as possible, and so I was eating shakes
just
and everything for football. And then the minute wrestling season started, I was bringing down my weight to. For different weight classes.
Was that hard to do? I mean, I remember, back in the day, seeing those guys walking around with those sweat jackets or whatever the heck they were, and trying to lose all the weight, and they just had to get to. I mean, that had to have been hard.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would go in the swimming pool of Anderson. I'd go up into the top bleachers, right?
Okay.
And I would jump rope up there all the time after practice or before. And I mean, my senior year, I was wrestling 135 pounds. And I was probably playing football, at about 155, maybe on a good day.
You lost 20 pounds
So from football to wrestling, that was the thing that I did. But, there was some sacrifices, after the basketball games. Remember, everybody would walk over to McDonald's. Everybody was hanging out eating McDonald's. Well, I would have an orange in my pocket. So then when I'd get over there, everybody was eating McDonald's.
And you're eating an orange.
I just pull out an orange and peel an orange at the McDonald's.
Oh my God.
So,
wow. That is dedication right there. I couldn't do it.
So I need to go back on the football thing. At Fort Smith Junior High, who was your coach?
I'm trying to remember who
was it. Griffiths and
yes.
Griffiths and
Bruce
Eads
Griffiths
and Mr. Eads. Was it Mr. Eads
or Ader?
Griffiths is who I remember for sure.
Griffiths.
Yeah,
he was there. He was the 8th grade coach when we were at Anderson Middle School. So he must have just
I remember the minute you said that, I knew it was G something.
Yeah,
Griffiths.
Yeah, so I played there, and I wasn't a running back there. I wasn't. No, I was like a monster back safety there.
Okay.
And then it was going to be my freshman year. I remember Vince Surriano was new to Anderson.
Yep.
And I remember in the summertime telling my dad, well, I hear these people are, lifting weights, or there's this volunteer weightlifting going on up at Anderson. So my dad drove me up there. And I remember getting there, and it was the first time I met Surriano, and there was like 9 people in the weight room. That was it, you know?
Yeah.
And, my dad introduced us, and, at the time, I think Vince was like, probably just like any other kid. He's like, if he wants to work out, here we are. And that was my first introduction. But it was so crazy, the difference between every summer after that.
Absolutely.
That weight room went from 9 people in probably 1988 to, it probably wasn't even voluntary anymore by the time we left, It was probably 60 people strong and whatever.
It's out the door.
Yeah.
All right, so one fun fact that's unbelievable, because there's no way me and you could do this, Danny, is that you had the privilege to wear your freshman year football T-shirt.
I did, yeah.
Anderson football, Redskins across.
When we got those grays and the long shorts and the gray shirt, I went down to the basement. I should have wore the shorts, but
wow, that is incredible.
I put the shirt on.
That's impressive.
It's a little bit of a schmedium.
It looks great.
I'd be fat man in a little coat or whatever you want to call it, because there's no way. I mean, it'd probably come a half on me.
Yeah. So, Bob, you got to talk a little bit about your freshman year. You're playing and you're getting into this Vince Surriano era, and you have this young buck coach of Dan Albers. I mean, did you learn anything? was there anything off the field that you learned?
I think we had a great freshman year.
We did.
Yeah.
With Tony Diana?
We set the foundation. Yeah, John Diana.
Tony Diana.
Tony Diana. Yeah, not John. Tony Diana. It was
a great year.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was the start of 4 years of just a phenomenal football, fun, career, school. It was great. So, and then after that, it just it set the precedent, I think, and we got better and better and better.
I was sitting there thinking about that. We maybe had 20 kids on our team as a freshman, and it sucked because if anybody got hurt, we were screwed. I'm serious. I mean, because we had guys going both ways. I mean, you went both ways, didn't you? He had to go both ways. Wolf went both ways. We had so many guys, and so if anybody got hurt, we were honestly, because I remember it was Eric Holden is what I remember. That guy was good.
Yeah,
he was really good. And then when he got hurt, it was like we didn't know what to do. And, it was crazy. So he was, man, hell of a running back for us, man.
Nice.
He was really good. And I'll tell you what, I've said this before in other podcasts. I thought I knew football. I didn't know crap about football. When I got with Surriano and he's calling all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. Going to scout was. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, I mean, because
gave you a book.
I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. So I mean, but just unbelievable. So let's get into that on the football side of it. So you played obviously for Coach Surriano. It was right around the time that Anderson kind of started, slowly getting on the map. You were doing through all that, but talk about like you said, you first met Coach Surriano, but talk about meeting him and then the turnaround and as it gradually started happening.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember him building that program and how his ability to lead the team and construct the team and build the confidence in everybody. It was the whole package. It was the strength, the speed, and then just the football, talent and ability that he was building around everybody. And then I was thinking about coming over here. I mean, one of the things is he was always developing at least the offense based on the strengths, and that's when we ran the freeze option when I was there. And I think it was, at least my thought is that it was designed around Rob, our quarterback's sort of skills, what he was good at and what he wasn't as good at.
Was that Rob
Thuman?
Rob Thuman. That's bad. He's going to kill me on this one.
What were you going to say, Rob Stahl?
No, I was thinking he was later than it was Rob McCoy. That's who I was thinking of.
Oh,
I don't know why I was thinking. I don't know why I was thinking. Yeah, Rob Thuman. Yes, quarterback.
We traveled up to Michigan's football camp, and that's where we really learned that offense before we came back to Anderson, and then that's what we ran. Yeah, that was our offense.
The one thing I do remember about him too, Steve, was when he made. Remember those shoots for the offensive lineman. Like, he made this thing, Steve, like, everybody's like, what the? And because the Anderson guy is offensive lineman, I was an offensive lineman. The first thing we did was stand straight up, right? Mm-hmm, yeah. So he made these chutes where you would come down and you're coming underneath and you're coming up and you're firing up. And so he made this contraption of like PVC pipe and all this stuff. And that's like what he was talking about. All this stuff helping each position to get better and do what they can. So I really feel like the game that put Anderson on the map was back, I don't know if that was your senior year, I think it might have been, is when you played Dayton Patterson. Mm-hmm. Dayton Patterson was ranked. Yep. And you guys end up beating them, and Eric Williams kicks that field goal or extra point to win the game. Yep. So talk a little bit about that. Do you agree that was probably one of the things that kind of put Anderson on the map?
It was. I mean, I will always remember that game. I don't remember, all the games, and I don't remember all the, everything about it, but that particular moment was a turning point. And again, coming over here, I was thinking, I feel like that year, that game set the tone where we went on the field to win. And we had the confidence to win. And we may not have always won, but every time after that, it wasn't that we were going to accept defeat. We were, teams after, I graduated in 91, but the 92 team, the 93 team, we were the first winning football team. Oh, yeah. And then I think that was from there launched listen, we're going to step on this field and we're not going to accept losing.
I think that you were the first winning team since 1973, I think is what it was. Close to it. But I mean, it was just, that I'll never forget. That was at Dayton Patterson too, wasn't it?
It was,
it
was Anderson.
Was it Anderson?
Yeah, but it was like David and Goliath. It was like we had no chance. No one ever suspected that we would win, and we went out and, we won that.
So fun.
It is crazy.
It was so awesome to go to those games.
Mm-hmm. So just to let you know, Mr. Thuman at the golf outing hands me 2 CDs, DVDs, whatever you want to call them now. Hands me. One of them is the Dayton Patterson. I think it's it might be the Dayton Patterson game and then the highlights. Oh, yeah. So I've got that. And he asked me if I could, and I said I would. So he goes, I want those back. I said, I'll get them back to you. But so that's kind of cool that he still has that to go back and look at that stuff. So
I'll have to find some tapes for you, I'm sure.
I would love them. Yeah. I would love them.
So do you remember who some of the coaches were? Because I think there were some young coaches on Vince's staff.
So when I was there, it was, Geesting, Parrish.
Parrish. Randy Corbett.
Randy Corbett was a big one. I think even Scott Peters. So my senior year, I went from Jeff Krause, my wrestling coach, to Scott Peters. So I had Peters on the tail end of my wrestling career, and then he joined, as well. So,
that's great.
The Surriano boys were my ball boys.
Oh, wow.
No kidding.
Both of them. Both of them were my ball boys. I know them both even to this day. So
that's crazy. That is crazy. My gosh.
I'm trying to think who else was on. Was Bobby Molinax on it? No.
Molinax, yes.
Molinax?
Yeah, Molinax is there. Yep.
I mean, Jeff was still. Geesing was kind of young then.
Geesing was our defensive backs coach because we still played both ways back then.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was still a time where it wasn't just
we had no choice.
Then. Right.
Yeah. Who was the? God, he was an old guy.
Oh, I know.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
He coached with me too when I was there, and I can't remember what his name is. But anyways, he was probably on that staff still at the time, I think. So yeah, it was. I know Tony. I think Tony was still on the staff. I don't know if he coached freshmen or not, but yeah, that was crazy.
Remember Coach Pete too? He came.
Yes.
Well, he played softball.
He was our running backs coach.
Yeah.
And then I think he went on to Miami of Ohio.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in fact, I think he might have played at Miami of Ohio.
He did. He did.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
But he was a great running back coach when we had him.
Yeah.
Good guy.
He was pretty awesome.
And he would suit up against us.
I remember that.
That was.
You know what?
When he would suit up on that practice field and run against us, that was showed you real quick what the difference in levels of football
Absolutely. I remember doing that too. I remember dressing up and doing that because he wanted to get a scrimmage in or get somebody. So he said, get as many guys. And I think I did it. Pete, there was a whole bunch of old guys and you guys kicked our butts.
Why were you doing that?
I was coaching, helping
You were
out.
young and
I was stupid. Yeah.
We went back and did that. I went back and did that.
Did
I
you?
went back and ran against the defense. Yeah.
Nice.
I would also do that in wrestling. I'd go back in the wrestling room and wrestle some of the younger wrestlers.
Well, I bet you. So Scott Peters, probably young enough. He probably was participating in practice, wasn't he?
He was.
I bet he was.
And you know who else would come in? I would be on the wrestling mat, and it would be like Saturday morning, and all of a sudden he would show up, and I'd be like, oh God, we got it. It would be Steve Andriadis.
Oh, he was really good.
Unbelievable.
And he would wrestle me for like an hour.
Oh.
I'm like, it was just, I mean, to this day.
Just wear you out.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he was really good.
His daughter works for me now.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Which is pretty crazy. But
Well, you know what's even crazier is Mark just retired.
Yep.
He just retired from
Nice.
he was over in Saudi Arabia, I believe.
Yep.
So just retired, man.
Wow.
So, just had a big party for him last week. I think.
Did they?
Yeah.
Nice.
Kind of crazy.
Nice. All right, so Bob, after you get through Anderson, great career, both football and wrestling, and losing 20 pounds. Did you have any thoughts of going on to play in college?
I didn't really. I mean, I got some D3 letters, but I was really, my sister, who I have one sister, Holly, which you know, she was the first to go to college. Went to Miami of Ohio. I would go up there for little sibs. I loved Miami. I was like, because I didn't know anything else either. But I was like, oh, I want to go here. I want to go here. Well, I applied there and got waitlisted. And when that happened, I was like, what am I going to do? And I started talking to some of the guys that were at Wittenberg. It was like Text, and John Paxton. I think even Peterson was there. So probably through Vince or somebody, I went up, met the coach, gave him my tape. And like the next week, he was like, I want you to come here and play football. So I was ready to go. I mean, we turned in, I was like a $500 deposit. I remember it being expensive back then, and was all set to go to Wittenberg. And a month later, I got a letter from Miami saying they were taking me off the wait list. And within 3 seconds, I'm like, I'm going to Miami.
That was it. That was it.
So that was then what happened.
Well, all right. Well, so let's transition into after you get there and you go on. I think you went on to play rugby.
I did.
Did you play with Nate Cosman?
No, he wasn't really. He didn't get into rugby until much later.
Really?
I thought he played with. For some reason, I was
okay.
No.
So you were the
So when I got to Miami, again, good story behind that. When I was up at Miami for Little Sibs, meeting with my sister, a couple guys were talking to me that were playing sports then in college, and one of them was playing rugby at Bowling Green. And he's like, hey, if you come to Miami, you should look it up, right? I was like, okay. I mean, I kind of basically half, listened to him. Right?
Yeah.
So I get to Miami, it's freshman year, and about the third week, I'm in the line for the dining hall, and I see this red poster that says, don't be a pencil neck, play Miami rugby. I'm like, I think I'll go out.
Talking to you.
I'm no pencil neck.
Literally still had my 22 gold chain hanging off my neck. Which, by the way, when I showed up to practice that day, the rugby coach in Miami looked at me and made fun of my really? That's how he put me in my place real quick.
Okay.
I bet.
But that was the start of rugby for me.
Okay.
And I played there all 4 years. Represented the All-Ohio team, All-Midwest team, and then went out to the probable game for the All-American tryouts.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. That was in Annapolis, Maryland. It was a great, that whole ride my senior year there was an awesome rugby experience.
Help me understand. I have no clue about rugby, how it's play, all that. So you did not play it. Was it tough for you in the beginning to get used to it, or no? Or?
It was. It was like wrestling freshman year. Yeah. No clue, right? So I had no clue the game, the rules, but I just learned over the course of my college career, and then continued playing through the summers as well. And I just played it so much. There's 2 seasons in college.
Oh wow!
So there's a spring and fall.
Okay.
So I was pretty much playing, most of the year, and just got really good at it.
Any gruesome injuries or anything like that?
I have my teeth are couple of these are fake. I wasn't the best at wearing my mouthpiece all the time. I mean, I should have, but sometimes I didn't. A handful of stitches, but never really broke any bones other than some fingers and stuff.
So, and then you went after that you played later with was it the Wolf?
I played later, so I came down, played for the Cincinnati Wolfhounds. Then I got into Life Chiropractic College, which was a rugby school down in Marietta, Georgia. Went down there, played 1 year at Life. That became kind of too much to do both, but I stayed in school there, played for this Atlanta team, and then came back to Cincinnati, played for the Wolfhounds again, where we went to the Final 8 in I think 2005, and then we went to the Final 4 in 2008. And played all the way up till I was 39 years old, and then I retired.
Holy moly.
Wow. Now, what is the average age for that? I mean, it's probably
your
mid-20s?
Yeah, 20s. I mean, to playing as long as I did, there's a few, but I mean, I was the end of, I was probably the very far end of the spectrum.
Okay.
Well, did Nate play with the Wolfhounds?
So Nate joined the Wolfhounds. I mean, I'm going to screw this year up, but I somewhere when I came back and started playing again for the Wolfhounds, I was there a couple of years, and then he came in and played.
He played for a while too,
and then he picked it up very quickly. But with his size and speed, it was like anytime you were out, you tried to recruit those guys, and you knew like we're good athletes. We were always trying to like, hey, you should come out and try some rugby. And I think he was offered many times to come play rugby. He just never dove in. But then once he did, I mean, he was hooked. And I mean, we both sit on the Midwest Rugby Foundation board of trustees together right now.
That's nice. Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So let's get into the life after rugby. All that stuff's done, and get into you're done playing sports. You're so you get into. I want to kind of talk about the career and how you got to 4EG. It's kind of interesting. You said something about chiropractor, all that. So kind of let's go to that path here. Talk about what you did and how you got from being a chiropractor to being a managing partner at 4EG.
Yeah, so I graduated from chiropractic school. I've always had a close relationship with my dad and mom, but my dad, I think, really just like any son-father relationship, wanted to try to get me back into Cincinnati. So he's like, why don't you come back here and we'll open up a practice. So he helped me open up a chiropractic practice right over at 5 Mile over here, and I launched that practice and started treating people here that was local in Anderson. Well, I had 2 college buddies that had opened a bar in Chicago, and they had always maintained a good relationship with and buddies with. And when I was down in Atlanta going to chiropractic school, I was working in bars all the time, just as a side, make extra money. They were like, hey, we want to open up another one of these bars that we opened in Chicago, which was called a Live One. And I was like, well, why don't you come to Cincinnati and I'll, do it with you, but just kind of part-time. So Ben moved to Cincinnati. We found this place in Mount Adams. We opened a Live One, and my contract or whatever was I was going to work 2 nights a week, and then I would continue on with my chiropractic practice because Ben was here full time. That's what he was going to do. Well, then the pavilion next door came for sale. We decided to buy it. That was just more manpower needed. So we had another partner that we knew come in, and then there was 4 of us at that time. And again, I was still only like 2 nights a week, but then it really started to bleed into 3 and then 4. And I was trying to wake up every morning and go to my office and this and back and forth. And then 2 bars became 3, 3 became 4. And at that 4th bar, my dad came and he was like, "What do you're killing yourself?" And he's like, "Let's figure, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I think this bar, stuff could take off." I mean, it wasn't a company or anything. It was just 4 guys owning these bars. And so I contacted the state of Ohio, and they said, "You can put your license on inactive status and take it off, whenever you want, really."
Okay.
And I was like, so I'm not losing anything. Right. But then I had my practice, right? And I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this practice? So I put my practice up for sale. And at the time, there was this guy, Dr. Hal Messmer. I don't know if anyone knows, he's an Anderson guy. But he was kind of working out a Beachmont Racket Club, and he had no practice. And he came down, he walked in my office, he's like, wrote me a check. I walked out the door and never looked back.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, was your dad pretty cool with
my dad was cool. My mom was in tears.
I could figure that.
Rosie was in tears. She was like, I can't believe you're you're going to be in these bars, and you know what I mean? I think she just thought the worst.
I can see that.
But
so what's 4EG? 4EG?
Yeah. So
what's it stand for?
Yeah. So it stands for 4 Entertainment Group. Okay. Is the lengthy version of it, and the 4 was because there was 4 of us that started it. Yep. And you know, I thought Entertainment Group was better than Bar Group or whatever it was, because I was just kind of envisioning, well, maybe it won't just be bars, maybe someday it'll be hotels or restaurants or what have you. And so that was, we kind of, I mean, we were the first bar we opened was in 2001. I think it was around 2004 or 5 where we actually became 4EG. Okay. At the time, we were like known as like the Pavilion guys, or you know, just like, it was just like.
Do you guys still own the Pavilion or no?
We sold the Pavilion a while back, kind of on the downturn of Mount Adams. There was kind of when the banks opened up downtown, and then OTR had its renaissance. Mount Adams kind of fell.
I'll tell you what, the bar that I absolutely loved, and I'm a little biased, I'm a little kind of mad at you guys for a little bit, it was the Sandbar.
I know.
And the reason I'm saying that is because it was perfect for our golf outing.
I know.
We would go right from the golf outing.
For
the one day. No, we'd go back there again, and I'm gonna laugh at this because we were there one night, and it was getting ugly. I mean, it was getting ugly. Well, I'll tell you, Don Klein was there.
Yeah.
Klein and Goyer were there. Yeah. And Scott Ham was another one that was there. And you had that pool, but you guys didn't own the pool, right? Right. So the pool was there, and of course, people jumping in the pool.
Yeah, the pool was for the boaters only. It was loosely for the boaters only. Yeah, we'd only get in trouble occasionally when a night like
guys
that.
Guys like us did it. That was a cool.
We'd take a beating the next day, but I mean, it was worth it. It was all good. Yeah, it was all.
That was a great place to go for after the outing and all that. Now we're ended up at Dale Adams' house for the last 2 years. So
a little safer probably.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the ones you have now. Since we said I know the Pavilion and Sandbar are closed, what are the ones that you have currently right now?
So we're downtown at Igby's is a big bar. Then we've got down at the Banks, we've got the Stretch, Killer Queen. Over at Newport on the Levee, we have the Beeline. And since we've opened several brands now in multiple, so we've got like 3 Beelines and 3 Roosevelt rooms. We're in Chicago, Columbus, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and then we just opened our first bar in Naples, Florida.
I saw that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And which one was that one?
That's a Beeline.
That's a how did you come up with these names, and how did you come up with the concept and all that? How was that?
We just started finding our niche where we like these sort of highly designed craft cocktail bars that we bring in music on the weekends, and it's just kind of an upscale design. And we've just kind of found this niche where we don't do any food, and we're kind of the pre and post dinner spot to go to. So we go into these developments where there's a lot of restaurants and there's a lot of residential hotel and stuff, and we put one of our spots in there.
I love it. That's awesome, man.
Wow,
that's a great story. I love it.
That's got to keep you busy though, right?
It does. I mean, I'm still in it, actively in it. All of us are. We're still active partners in the day to day, and it keeps us busy. We have 24 locations spread out amongst all those areas, and we stay busy, and we're growing.
Same 4 guys.
Same 4 guys.
And everybody's got their role.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Everybody's got their role.
God, that is so cool.
We've had some battles, but everybody has their role.
Sure. I'm sure.
I mean, we're basically a family business that's not a family,
right?
Because so all the complexities that come with a family business, we have those.
So is Rosie happy now? I mean,
Rosie's completely happy. She turned the corner a while back. I mean, a long time ago. But for 1 minute there, she was.
Sure, she.
For everybody on this that's listening that knows Rosie.
Well, speaking of that, let's talk about your family, your parents, and your wife and your kids. And you're in town here, right?
I'm in town here. My parents are still in town here. They do snowbird down to Florida, and my sister's still here with her family. So we're all here. Mom and Dad still kicking strong. You know, Dad's 87, Mom's 82.
Really?
They're still healthy and active. So it's fantastic. Holly has been married to Mark with her 2 kids. They're empty nesters now. So they they live out in Milford, and they've been doing great out there. And then I got married later in life. My wife got married later as well. Okay. So I was 42. She was 36. We knew if we wanted kids, we had to step on the gas. So we did, and we have Roman, our first, who was 6, and then we wanted to have a second and have a sibling. We tried. We had definitely some struggles, and then we're almost to the point where we were going to give up, and then we had Hawken, who is 18 months. Wow. So another boy. So we got 2 boys.
Okay. That's awesome.
Roman and Hawken. They're great. Yeah.
That is great. That is the best.
Did your family, your parents, have a place down in Newtown?
They still do. Yes.
What's the name of that place?
So it's called Shademore Park.
Gosh, I went there a couple times.
Is that the God, it's right by the river and all that.
It's right on the little Miami River.
It's like a little community, like you would see on.
It's like the Smurf Village. You don't necessarily know it. You don't necessarily know it's there, and we don't really want people to know it's there. But it's 56 cottages. A lot of them have been, they're back in the day. I mean, it was like cottages. There was, the toilet was just like a drop toilet. Small little cottages, but everyone only went up there during the summer. You could only be up there during the summer. You couldn't be there year round. And I've had over my lifetime, all those guys you mentioned, the Andriatises, the Kleins or whatever, Thumans, they've all been up to Shademore Park for all the different festivities and things.
That was not the same when Thuman showed up. That's a pretty cool place. I think I went there one time when Rod Huber, the coach of Mount St. Joe, had a place there, and he rented that.
He has. He's
still there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He still has a place there, and several of his sisters, the Hubers, have been a big family up there for quite a while.
Kind of reminds me of what was that? Dirty Dancing, kind of like that. Kind of just like that.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. Only we're the working side of Dirty Dancing. Yeah. We're not the privileged side of Dirty Dancing.
So you probably know everybody. Everybody's been there for years and years.
You've been there for years. Nobody locks their doors. Your kids run around all over the place. I mean, at the time when I was growing up, we didn't have TVs in these cottages. Right. And there's just way too much to do. That's why, I didn't even play, and I firmly believe this, I think kids shouldn't play sports all summer. I think they should be kids sometimes. I was in the river all the time. I was swimming. I was playing, cops and robbers, things like that. It was not like today where they want your kids to play these sports year round.
Well, I was just thinking about this today. If someone was asking me, they're doing all this 7-on-7 stuff right now, right? Mm-hmm. We started July, after 4th of July is when we you're going to get your helmet. Right. You run. That was it. Mm-hmm. We didn't do all this stuff that they're doing now. And like you said, it is crazy. And, you got guys playing multiple sports. Mm-hmm. They're doing baseball. They're doing basketball. They're doing football. There's just no way. They don't have a life. Mm-hmm. I think that's what happened. Honestly, I think that's what happened to my brother Timmy. He got burned out. Yeah. Because he was doing so much.
Just be a kid for a little bit.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I agree. So, Bob, we're going to wrap this up here. But the one thing that we always love to do is your favorite memories. All right, so we want to give you a favorite memory from high school, a favorite memory in college, and then maybe a favorite teacher you had at Anderson. Well, let's start off with high school. Your favorite memory in high school.
Favorite memory from high school, I'll keep it with some of the football guys, is when we streaked Anderson High School out front of the high school.
Whoa!
Yes, I love it.
And I think I have a photo of it because one of the guys took it. It might have been like Bubba took a photo or something. It was like me and Barry Wolf and Rob Thuman, and we had these masks on. I think one had a Bart Simpson hat on.
Oh my gosh!
And we basically ran down that sidewalk of in front of Anderson.
That was the best.
And then hopped in a getaway car and got
So was this during school hours?
Yeah, it was during school hours. Yeah.
That is the best. That is the best. I want to see this photo.
Yeah. I'll have to give you one. Yeah. So that was high school. You said college?
College.
Okay, so college, I'll keep this a good one too. Well, every year I would have some of my football buddies come up to Miami and stay with me. And it was at a time, I think it was, again, Rob Thuman. He's going to be in a lot of these stories. Will Andriadis, a few others. They came up to visit me at Miami. It was Green Beer Day. If you know about Miami and Green Beer Day.
Yeah.
Well, we went out, Green Beer Day, full day, full night, and then those guys had to be at film in Surriano's office the next morning.
How'd that work out?
And they were late.
Oh, that is not good.
You know how Vince was with film and being on time, and those guys rolled in late, and it was not pretty.
Oh, it was like, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about? We just had Steve Green. You remember Steve Green?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we had Steve Green, and he told a story, and he was out with Thuman and Scott Peters, and those guys were out late, and Steve was late to a meeting. He goes, "I'm not doing this again." And they slept in the wrestling room because they didn't want to do it, and they overslept, and Surriano walked over them. So there's another one. That's another good one. Yeah. So what about teacher? Favorite teacher?
Oh, favorite teacher. I mean, the easy ones to say, Vince, obviously.
Right.
For me. Right. But gosh, I don't know. I was trying to think of favorite teacher in Anderson when I was here. I don't know, man. I liked them all. I don't know. I don't have a favorite teacher.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, the only one. Did you have Grooms? Was he still there?
I didn't have Grooms. I don't know if you threw a couple out. I'm trying to remember. Like
Mrs. Coleman.
I had Mrs. Bruff.
Oh yeah, Bruff.
Right.
Yeah.
I like Bruff.
I think everybody.
I paid attention.
I mean, favorite teacher.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Yeah. Well, somebody said that.
Freddie Green or Freddie Crace.
Yeah, he said
Freddie Crace.
How do you not like Barbara Bruff?
How could you not like Barbara Bruff?
Yeah. A lot of people say Cinco.
Yeah, I mean Cinco.
Oh my God, he's paying you.
Yeah.
He's a good one. But man, I tell you what, this was awesome. Going back down memory lane, and like I said, man, coaching you was awesome. Great running back. Rob and I were throwing out some old stories of some of our games back in the day, and it was just hard back in the day for us because we didn't know crap. We really didn't know crap, and trying to coach these guys, and it was kind of hard, but it was fun. But man, it was great catching up, and I'm so proud of you, man. Just what you've done and your story, and wanted everybody to hear that. You start on something, it doesn't mean you can change, and you did, and you're living a great life right now, and you got the kids, and I really appreciate you joining us and going down memory lane.
Oh, thank you guys both for having me. I know we were trying to do this
forever.
So I appreciate it. It's been fun to be here today and to do this.
I can't wait to look at this book here. He's got his memory book here that we're going to take a look at here in a minute. So I can't wait to see that. So again, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So for Steve Ellis, Dan Evers, and Bob Deck, you've been listening to This Week in Anderson. We'll catch you guys next week.